Defined benefit plans have not quite gone the way of the dodo bird, but they certainly have gone down, and more people have defined contribution plans than ever. But if you have a defined benefit plan where somebody is going to offer you a pension based on years of service and income when you go to retire, one of the questions you may be asked is, do you want to consider taking a lump sum in exchange for future income? It's not a question we will all have to answer, but there are things you should consider if it's a choice you have to make. Well, good morning and welcome back to Consider This Program. I'm your host, Joe Clark.
I'm Dean Huddleston.
Dean is our senior advisor up in the Lafayette, Indiana office, and we still have people in Lafayette with pensions.
We do, absolutely.
And several different companies, and not all of them will give you this choice, but every now and then you will hear the option of a lump sum. Should I take a lump sum pension? Back years and years ago, General Motors sold their pension fund off to Prudential, an annuity company, and asked the question of whether or not you wanted to take a lump sum pension or not. I think we saw 25 people. I think we told 15 of them that they should take the lump sum, and the rest of them should not. So I'm going to have Dean walk you through that thing. But here's what I want you to understand. In those 25 meetings that we had, I didn't stop and gather data and then make a determination. No, I sat down with my team, and we came up with a checklist that said, these are all the things that we need to consider. We gathered the data for the things that we needed to consider. And then we were able to gather your individual unique data to say, this is a good idea for you, or this is a bad idea for you. And it's dependent on many different things. We are checklist fanatic. And there's a reason. You should not have to reinvent the wheel every time you have to make a life-changing decision. And I will tell you, whether or not you take a lump sum pension, in my mind, for financially, for many people, it is a life-altering decision. So, Dean, if I was going to do a lump sum pension, and first tell me exactly what that means, but if I was going to consider one, what are some of the things that I need to consider?
First, you need to consider things like the pension plan itself. You wrote a great article about that GM pension plan because of their bankruptcy. People tend to think in the world that pension plans are guaranteed, that there's no risk within a pension plan, and that's simply not true. Companies do file bankruptcies. Companies do see pensions dollars go away. So don't assume or ever assume that a pension plan is totally risk-free. But within a pension plan, you typically will have options of whether to take a lump sum or what's called basically a pension. And the pension would be you could have your income for the rest of your life, or you could take certain options and within the plan that might leave money to your beneficiaries, such as your spouse. There are varied options within that you could do it for their lifetime, for a period of time. But with every option you choose from the standard pension for only the worker themselves, the value of that pension monthly decreases. And when you take that pension, you no longer have that availability of those dollars to use other than on a monthly distribution.
So what are things that I should consider if I were to ever... So let's say I worked for some place and they were going to pay me $3,000 a month to retire, right? And it's typically based on my age when I retire. It's based on my years of service for being at the company. And it's typically based on my income, right? So if you're a teacher, we talk about 85 points. You hear that a lot. There's a pension that comes out for them, a retirement that comes from the state. Well-earned one, I might add, that they work diligently and thank you for being a teacher. I'll just say that. So let's say I have a $3,000 a month pension. There's an actuary. That's my friends always laugh at me when I say this, but it's an accountant without a personality. They're very, very, very smart people. I've got a few of them that I take care of. Know more about numbers than most of us will ever learn. But they're going to take my age And when I retire, so let's say I'm going to retire at 65, they're going to take my age and they're going to throw in some assumptions that their plan uses and says, based on Joe's life expectancy and this amount of money, what would the present value of that future sum be worth of those income payments, that income stream? And I may get an offer of $270,000. Now, keep in mind, it's not the company negotiating this. The Department of Labor, is involved in these computations when they come out. It's they're audited and regulated in terms of what those numbers can be, so they're not arbitrary. And so I now have a choice. I can take $3,000 a month, or I can take this $273,000 kitty. Now, if I take that $273,000 kitty, that pot, I can roll it over into my individual IRA. And if I put it in my individual IRA, presuming I'm over 59 and a half, I can take money out whenever I want without a penalty, but I probably have to pay taxes on it. Because I've never seen a Roth pension rollover. I guess it could possibly happen. But now it's in an IRA, and now I choose how much income that I'm going to take. Now, Dean kind of hit on this, but I'm going to have him get into that checklist with some other things to consider. One of those things is I'm married, right? I have a wife. And so if something were to happen to me and I was taking the $3,000 a month, what does Barb get if I pass away?
If you choose what they call a single life annuity and you pass away, Barb does not receive a pension.
That's probably not going to make her happy.
No.
No.
One of the things that's...
So now, hold on.
Okay.
That's probably not going to make her happy unless we have a lot of other money.
You have a lot of other money.
If the $3,000 a month doesn't count, right? I mean, if it's not life-changing. This is why I'm telling you need to have a checklist, guys, to be able to make this determination. This is not a simple thing. I came up with 23 things that I used inside of that checklist to help those 25 families decide whether this was a good idea or not. If you've got $5 million in another account, then the $3,000 a month of income isn't necessarily the best thing. And what happens is people start to make silo decisions all of the time. And I think most of it is preceded because they don't have a checklist. And so when you sit down and you're only thinking about the corn, or you're only thinking about the beans, or you're only thinking about, do I take a lump sum pension, without having a checklist that has everything else on there, these are the things that I need to consider, bad decisions get made. And people took took the lump sum that shouldn't have, and there's some that should have taken it that didn't. Right? Sorry.
So your health is a major consideration. If you're choosing a single life annuity where there is no beneficiary income after you pass away, and you've had health issues that you may not live to be 85 or 90 years of age, you really need to consider whether that lifetime payment is a benefit or not. The other choices are, what do I want? Do I want to leave a legacy for my children? Because if you don't have that $5 million book of business and the lump sum dollars are the only dollars that you may have, and you want to leave money to your children, or you want to leave money to a charity, that option's not going to be available if you take that monthly pension.
You got to do it on the other side. So I've got the $3,000. I don't, and I made the decision. I want to take the income, not the pension, not the lump sum, and I want to leave Barb included. So now, typically, what happens?
Typically, you're going to see a reduction in that monthly benefit to a certain degree. You could either choose that she could receive 50%, 75%, or 100% of the pension if you're gone. But with every choice, you're going to see a reduction in the monthly benefit.
So what happens, guys, is when you sit down to play poker, and I still have my my original marketing tape that I created back in the late '80s. That has me with a chessboard, and it's essentially I'm playing chess with the IRS, right? I mean, that's really what you're doing with this pension board, right? When you're sitting down, everybody's got the same number of cards in their hand when you're playing poker, right? We all have 52 cards we're dealing with if we're playing with a single deck, and now you're trying to look at your hand and determine what it's worth versus other people's hands. It's not that the cards are different, right? So inside of a pension, inside of that silo, everybody is equal. Everything is everything is all lined up so that it's a square deal going in. Then you want to take that checklist that we have, and you can get that at yourlifeafterwork.com. Call us at 800-928-4001. We're happy to help you walk through this. But what you're trying to do is to figure out the best way to use your hand based on those things that you've got inside of the knowledge pool that you have that the actuary is not able to use for the lump sum. What is your life expectancy? What are your other assets? What are your charitable gifting strategies? What are your kids like? What do you need to leave behind for your spouse? And like I said, there was 23 different things that I really wanted to help people consider. And one of those, which Dean and I didn't really cover, is, to thine own self be true. If you have discipline issues with finances, you've got to be very, very careful. We watched people take the lump sum pension, head directly to Hoosier Park, and the pension was gone. The entire pension was gone in 3 to 6 months in some cases. Just horrific things that happen. And if you are prone to loaning your children money because you don't have the capacity to say no, if the money stays inside of the pension, you can't loan something that you don't have, right? And the bankers will help you not co-sign if you don't have the income, to be able to co-sign. So, sometimes it's defense mechanisms, but I see a lot of decisions that are just really unfounded. People don't think them through the way that they ought to. So here's what I would do if I were you. I would go to yourlifeafterwork.com or call 800-928-4001, get the checklist, make sure that you've able to go through and to answer the questions, and then get signed up for a Next Steps meeting, right? We'll give you 90 minutes where we'll give you things to consider today, things you're going to want to consider in the future, and if we choose to partner together, what FEG will do for you, and we'll put it into writing. And don't forget, we got 180 days. Here's the roadmap of what's going to happen as we begin your financial journey and your partnership with the Financial Enhancement Group. Again, it's yourlifeafterwork.com, 800-928-4001.